All right, so welcome back to planting day, guys. We've had some rain and it's set me back, but we're finally ready here. So we're gonna start out with this big plot here, the big main section of rubber here, and we're gonna get started with planting my tomatoes. Tomatoes is kind of my bread and butter, so to speak. That's really what I'm after in the garden. I like everything, but tomatoes is the important part. All right, so this is gonna be my tomato garden section area. Now what I want to do is I want to put a lot of effort into getting this set up just right, you know, because this is, with this rubber mat, hopefully this is going to be for years and years to come, right? So I went through and I've got these tomato cages here. These are ones that I made. If you guys would like to see a video on making these, I can do that. But these are real nice stout tomato cages here, and you can make them for just pennies on a dollar, what you can buy them for, and they last a long time. But I've got 50 of these. I've got 50 tomato cages. So what I did was I went around, I did some figuring, I did some measuring, moved some stuff around, and I figured out that I think I want my tomatoes on 4-foot centers all the way throughout. That's enough room to kind of walk around them and, you know, not just crowd them out. So anyway, I went through here and I took some marking paint, measured off. I left me a little buffer right around the edge, you know, in case it does get wet. You know, you can just step onto this mat and just kind of be in the dry to work around your garden. So I left me a little buffer around, and then I measured off 4-foot centers all the way around, and I spotted them with marking paint. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my holes in here. Now I had talked about using like a weed burner and putting a hole in there, and that really just doesn't seem like a big enough hole. So I've done some thinking and some figuring, and I've gone to this other solution here, and this is what I'm gonna do. So I've got an 1 1/4 hole saw bit here, and I'm gonna go down through here and I'm gonna spot all these holes with this 1 1/4 bit, and then I'm gonna come back with a razor knife and I'm gonna cut back 4 or 5 inches on each side of that hole. And my point, the idea is, and like I said, there's a reason I'm putting so much effort into this, because I want it to last for years. But anyway, so the plan by doing that is I've got that 1 1/4 hole. But that's obviously not enough to plant the plant through. So by cutting that back, you know, making essentially 4 triangles, I'll have enough room to plant my plant, and then I can fold that flat. That 1 1/4 hole will be enough for the stem to come up through. And then, you know, if I do get a large stem or something, you know, and say like a tomato plant, then it'll just kind of open up, and it'll have room to open up by having those additional cuts, and it won't choke itself out. So anyway, that's the start of that. I've got these other 2 smaller sections over here, and I think I'm gonna dedicate one to just zucchini and cucumbers. You know, I like the fact whenever they just grow out, and you know, it should help the weed control a lot, because I just let my zucchini and cucumber usually just vine out on the ground. And then that third one down there, I'm going to just have just for my peppers. And then we'll have our beans and corn and all that other stuff down there in the dirt. That won't really matter too awful much. The beans will choke out the grass just fine, and I can make a hill and everything else for those. But this is what we're focused on today. So I've got 20 plants with me. I'm gonna plant today right now, and then we've got some additional stuff at a later date. So I'm gonna go down through here, spot these holes, and just run that hole saw in reverse there, and it just spins right through there. We'll spot all these holes real quick. Like I said, these are on 4-foot centers. So we'll just spot those holes there, and then I'll come back with the razor knife and make the cuts there. Whew, getting hot out here. Had to go get the old Yoder hat. All right, so that seemed to work out really well. The rubber's laying nice and flat now. It's still got a hole in it, and I've got plenty of access to get in there and do my planting, right? So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and plant these tomatoes here. Like I said, I've got 20 right here. I got some more coming, but anyway, we'll go ahead and do that. So real quick, I know a lot of you guys are gonna question the rubber matting. You know, it's like I don't know, it's almost 90 degrees today, 87, 88. It's hot, and I can tell you right now, just standing right here on this black mat, as opposed to right here on the dirt, there is a definite temperature change. Now, whether or not this will end up burning up my plants is yet to be determined. You know, I've talked with a lot of people, and you know, we kind of came to the conclusion, you know, I've been using landscaping fabric for years to plant my stuff on. Never really had a problem. It's you know, a black matting product. It's not quite as thick as this rubber, and I've never really had a problem with it. So I don't know if I'll have an issue this year. One option that we did kind of come up with is, you know, in the past I've strawed my tomatoes. Once they get up so high, you just straw the hell out of them, and you know, it kind of keeps the weeds down for a time. But my thought is, if I do see signs of my plants starting to burn up, I can always straw them. So I'll be able to kind of take that radiant heat out of the equation a little bit. I don't know. This will be determined. This is all kind of experiment on weed control more than anything. What I do know is there's not grass growing here, and I'm happy with that. Also, I have no doubt that just by this rubber matting, it's gonna keep the ground warmer for a lot more hours into the night, which is only gonna be to my benefit. So I don't know. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and put on the old knee pads here, because this rubber roofing is just dirty as all get out. It's also hot. So we'll go ahead here and we'll plant these 20 plants I've got here real quick. I've got some pepper plants too. But we'll go ahead and get these in the ground, and then give them a good drink of water and move on. But I like this. I like the way I've done this. You know, it's gonna be real easy to get in here, and you know, I've got just enough room to work, and that ground is warm now. So I think this will only be to my benefit, you know, by doing this, but time will tell. One thing I do know too is that the ground is super moist under there. You know, it just doesn't dry out like it normally would, because you know, you don't have the air of the sun getting to it. So anyway, take that plant out of there. Just lightly kind of break up those root systems. That way they can really take off and grow. We'll set him right down in there and give him some more dirt to pack around him there. And yeah, this is about perfect, I think. I like the way I've situated this here. Make sure he's not gonna drown. Tomatoes are one plant that they don't like a ton of moisture. My best garden years are years where I actually water, the drier years. So there we go. And come back and leave a little bit of dirt. If it settles, we can fill that in. But there's one. 19 more of these guys to go. All right, so all tomatoes in, well, at least for now. We'll get more. But now I'm gonna move on to my peppers and zucchini and cucumber, right? So one thing about peppers is, and trust me, I know from experience, you need to watch planting your hot peppers from your sweet peppers or your bell peppers. You need to keep them separated. You know, you get cross-pollination between the two. And let me tell you, that one year I had some awfully hot green peppers. So anyway, went ahead and you can see I've got these other two pieces here. Now in years to come, I may decide to move these around. This year, I'm just gonna go ahead and plant everything together, but you can see these are roughly what? There's 2, 4, 6, about 8 foot wide a piece. We're gonna plant everything together and see how it goes, and then I can plant my corn on this side, you know, and then do beans and whatever down there. But anyway, so what I'm doing is I've probably got here about 25 to 30 feet of separation from one end to the other. And my plan is I've got 9 holes drilled there, or cut, or whatever you want to call it, and 9 down there. So I can have 9 sweet pepper plants or bell pepper plants down there. And then a long ways away, then I can have 9 jalapenos or hot peppers or whatever. And then the center here, just to make use of all the real estate, then this is where I'm gonna throw a couple of cucumbers and zucchini. And like I said, I don't really vine mine or trellis them or anything. So, you know, if I cage them, I may cage them. I doubt it. But I got plenty of room to put some zucchini and cucumber here in this other floor space, and then that'll give that separation between my pepper plants. So the next step here is I've got some bell peppers, some purple peppers, and some sweet banana peppers. So we're gonna go ahead and put those in the ground, and then I've got some cucumber and zucchini. I'm gonna do the zucchini and seed, so we'll just go ahead and plant those in the seed. I do have a cucumber plant. So anyway, that's the next step, is get these peppers in the ground. So we've got tomatoes, we got zucchini, cucumbers, and peppers. So the next thing is beans here. Now beans I'm not that worried about. I like to hill my beans a little bit, so I'm gonna come off of here into the unprotected area. You know, these beans, once they start growing out, they'll choke out any weed. Never had a problem with those. But I'm gonna plant these beans, and I'm gonna end up planting beans about 4 times. Same with my corn. I'll plant corn about 4 times. You know, if you plant it all at once, then it all gets ripe at once, and then you know, you got a lot of corn and beans. So I'm gonna go ahead and just make my mounds here, and then I'll just come out every 4 to 5 days, and I'll plant a little bit more, basically. So, you know, pretty simple here. I don't get too awful carried away here with the bean hills. This is still pretty good loose soil. We got thunderstorms tomorrow, so I really don't want to till this up again, because then it will you know, get all beat down. I would rather just kind of leave it the way it is and just deal with it. Whenever you get, you know, a lot of beating rain, it'll sometimes beat that earth down and seal it up where your seeds have a hard time. So that's a pretty good row there for our first go. Like I said, I'll do this several more times, but I'll just come in from the other side here. And this will all obviously get just tilled in the fall. But yeah, you can see I'm just not quite closing off the the trough here. You know, I think a lot of people, they plant their seeds too deep. The average seed just does not need to be, you know, about a ½ inch deep. So just gonna make two little ditches like that there. Leaving just a little bit of a trench in the middle there. That's where I'll grab my bean seed here. So I don't get too carried away here with these beans. I just kind of drop them down in there. Few here, a few there. You can plant beans pretty heavy. All right, there's our bean seed. This is some pretty still moist ground, so wet ground. So then I'll just take and then just cover up those beans there. It's a little bit on both sides. Just like so, flip the rake over, make a little plateau. Beans are planted. Now, like I said, I'll come out here in 3 or 4 or 5 days, and I'll make another row over there, and I'll just slowly fill that area in. It'll take a couple of weeks, but then what'll happen is I'll have beans for several weeks. If I was to go ahead and plant all these all at once, I'd be just overrun with beans. So that's good for that. Now we'll move on to the corn, and we'll do the exact same thing. All right, so next step is corn. We got our old corn planter here. I am gonna plant a different kind of beans with this as well, but we've got our corn here. I'm gonna do the exact same thing. I'll make a couple of rows, about 20 to 25 foot long. Probably I'll just do just the length of my matting here, actually. Do one row that way. I'm over about 2 foot. We'll make another row. So in 3 or 4 days, I'll come back and plant another couple of rows. All right, so there we go. 2 rows there. We'll plant 2 more at a later date. I've got some more beans here. We'll plant. All right, so one final step after getting all this stuff planted. Obviously, you're creating a lot of stress on the plant by replanting it. You get a good drink of water here. So I will say though that the ground is super saturated. It's a good moist soil there underneath this tarp because it just can't evaporate. So I have high hopes for that come the dry season. I'm gonna go ahead and give all these guys here a little drink of water. Now, I don't recommend using tap water if at all possible whenever you water your plants. As I said before, my best years of gardening are dry years whenever I water. I'm fortunate and blessed enough to have a 90-foot well on my property that I can pump water out of. But if at all possible, I suggest using either rainwater or well water. The chlorine in tap water or city water is pretty harmful to these plants. It'll actually burn them up, so if you use it enough. But anyway, you can go ahead here and some nice cool well water stuff come from 90 foot down, and I'm gonna go ahead and just give each one of these guys a nice little drink here, and it'll perk them up. They're kind of starting to wilt. That's just you'll see that whenever you plant. Give them a couple of days and they'll be back good to go. All right, y'all, so there you have it. That's planting the vegetable garden. I know a tomato is not a vegetable. That's planting the vegetable garden. You know, like I said, there's still more work to do. If you guys enjoyed this video, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button. And, you know, let me know that all this work that I've been putting into filming and editing this is worth it, and that you guys would want to see more, because there's still a lot more to it. Like I said, we're going to keep adding to this garden now for the next few weeks at least. Not only that, but we've got our fruit started. My asparagus is about done, but I did get a good month out of that this year. So I'll take you guys over here in just a second. I'll show you the raspberries, blackberries, and blueberries, because it has been a little bit. Raspberries and blackberries are just full bloom now. But anyway, let me guys know what you think about this. You know, do you guys like this type of video? What do you think of my little setup here? So as far as plants go and names of plants, I know I'm gonna get questions on that. So, you know, as far as tomatoes go, my preferred tomato, you know, is either a Better Boy, a beefsteak, or a pink girl. You know, those are the 3 tomato plants that I plant every year. Those are, you know, pretty good for eating as well as canning and different things like that. I don't really have a huge preference on beans. Like I said, I do a couple different varieties of them. I like the green peppers, you know, the sweet banana peppers, really doesn't matter with that. I like Burpless cucumbers, you know, those are pretty nice. And as far as the corn goes, I like either a peaches and cream or a bodacious. Those are my 2 favorite types of corn. So anyway, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and like I said, leave me a comment, let me know what you think, and we'll see you on the next one. Give you guys a quick tour of the blackberries. You can see we are going to have a bumper crop of blackberries if they hang on and don't get burned up. A lot of you guys were asking, there's my irrigation system there for the vegetable garden. You can see here we got some earlier blackberries, and you can see the berries down there already starting to form. When we're here to the raspberries, it looks like, ooh, we've already got some here that are starting to turn. Oh, it's gonna happen quick now. There's some red ones in there. I'm gonna be eating raspberries shortly. That one there may have to be eaten. I know it's early, but oh yeah, look at him. It's a little early. It's still early. Also good. Blueberries. Gonna have a decent crop of blueberries. Not a great crop. I think that had to do with a little bit of the funny spring, but there's some berries on them. So we're gonna have blackberries and blueberries and raspberries again this year. There's like 5 different kinds of raspberries and blackberries here. So I get the blackberries all summer long. You see the asparagus is done. I'm just letting it go to seed now. We'll finish out this row of beans right here, and then we'll do something down there. Maybe a fall garden or something. But lots of real estate.